Hey folks, it's Jang here with a look at the LEGO City Deep Sea Exploration Vessel set. Comes with 717 pieces. That includes 7 minifigures that we'll look at up close later on. It also has 5 sea animals, 3 different types of submersibles that you build up, and an entire seabed wreckage scene that you build up with some terrain. So to call this set just a deep sea exploration vessel kind of doesn't do it justice, because this is the deep sea exploration vessel here, and there's a lot more to the set. It's a full-on playset with a whole bunch of stuff that supports the vessel. Or should I even say that the vessel itself supports. Now this is an interesting new hull piece with the large opening on the back, but it is watertight. This will actually float. I think that at some point during the design process somebody said we need to make it so that you can use this crane to actually lower things down so that kids can actually play in a bathtub or a small pool and have actual kind of salvage and rescue and exploration missions going on that are attached to the ship. It's an interesting decision to come up with an entirely new hull that's so specialized. I do hope that they will use this hull shape for other ships in the future of other types. But for now, I think that it looks pretty good. I think it works quite well for this very specialized use. It's wider than I expected it to be. The whole thing actually is larger than I expected it to be, just from looking at the pictures of it from the toy fairs and such. And it's got a pretty well covered and completed and detailed superstructure, the whole cabin section. It is opened on the sides as they typically do. Just gives you a little bit of a view of what the minifigures are doing inside of there, but there's also a way that huge figures like us can get in there more easily, so you can just see from both sides. To get access in there for your fingers, part of the roof is removable, but first I wanted to show you just some of the details that are on the top. It's pretty nicely done, including a little light there, and the radar bar is able to rotate around. The one thing that is a little bit awkward here is that the smokestacks appear to emanate from the cabin section, from the superstructure. They don't go down to the deck or anything where you'd expect engines to be. But all of this center section here is able to come up as one assembly to let you get inside. At the back is just an internal control panel for controlling the winch and also probably some outside lights. On the front, of course, is the captain's main station with the wheel there. It looks like he's got a compass up on top, and then you've got the navigator's station here. You can put another figure right there. Got a couple of printed slope pieces, one lever over here which could be for throttle or could be for something else, I'm not sure. And of course you have to have a coffee mug. You can also lift off the entire superstructure as one huge assembly to get access to the lower deck. That just has a couple of beds down there with side tables and lamps. Incidentally, the dinghy up on the front is removable, and that's a separate little assembly. You could just put this down on the water. It just has a simple little outboard motor design. I think that looks pretty good for what it is, and I like the little chain going around the side to represent a little bit of rope. There's a little bit of greebling around this thing, and then you've got 6 fenders, 3 on either side, that are nicely built up and very prominent with their bright color. A couple of stickers. This is a sticker here. This is a large sticker here. There's also one here, and then you can just double those up because there's one set for each side. Back here you have the external control section for controlling the winch, and you can operate the winch yourself from over here. Right now I've got that hooked up to a diving cage, protect you from the sharks, and this is able to open up from one side. You can put a figure in there. It's got some lights and such, so you can just set that up for doing some observation. There's also a large enough area here to accommodate even the largest submersible that's included in the set. You can just attach that to the top of its roof or its cage set up there, and you can just lower that down. Again, if you had this in the water, you could actually lower it down with a little bit of weight in the front, especially because there's less space back here to provide buoyancy. The whole ship will lean back a little bit, but it's not going to sink. Here is a closer look at that first manned submersible, the larger one. I like how this is built up. I like the use of the forklift style cage going across rather than front to back. Your thrusters have propellers, can be rotated. You can also turn all of this down and up to kind of simulate maneuvers. And it's got the nice kind of robotic style arms, which you can turn up and down. You can bring those all out. You can really reach in and kind of pinch something that's pretty close together. You know, it's got a good range of motion. And to get your figure in and out of there, you can just rotate all this back. You can also bring the front window section down, and there you go. And then here are the other two submersibles included with the set. The one on the left, as you can see, is manned, but it's really just intended to be a thruster. You know, it's just something to get you around. It's a transport. Has a couple of minifigure accessories attached to it that your figure can take off, but it doesn't have a robot arm or anything like that. The other little one, this is the smallest submersible. This is not manned. You can see that this is actually supposed to represent an antenna for remote control. In real life, they would tether those things most likely and have a line going down to it, but it's just kind of trying to give you the idea of what it's doing. This one does have an arm on the front, and that is able to rotate around and get a little bit of range of motion there to do some, you know, again, moving some stuff around. And it's got the camera up on top, so you could see what it's doing from a first-person kind of perspective. A couple of lights on the front as well, and once again you've got the propeller on the back that can be spun around. Now this is normally the part of a video where I'm getting to smaller and smaller stuff and get to the figures, but then there's this entire wreckage scene. This is pretty substantial, and it actually takes up a fair number of the parts in the set. I was surprised by that. You've got a number of pieces that are built up in the front, and there's a bunch of brick building along the side. They actually have a proper kind of bridge set up on this as well. Nice shaping of the roof, adding on some miscellaneous foliage, putting on a couple of extra little details there that really aren't needed, I think, for something that's intended to be a wreckage, but it looks pretty good. The forward deck, again, using wedge plates to good effect here. You see you've got the little dude who's working on some salvage operations. There's room underneath here. You've got a couple of crates with gold bars in them, and those are even built differently. Those have stickers on the tops of those tile pieces to give it a little extra detail. The backs of these rock formations don't look very good just because they're just very large pieces. The large ugly rock pieces, as some folks refer to these. But this actually does something. It gives you an interior space. You can just imagine this being some underwater cave system that can actually be explored. So I would highly suggest taking advantage of that for kids who want to come up with play scenarios here. Don't just see this as being part of a larger rock system that would supposedly be covered up. Actually use that as some of the space that you can explore. And you can see on the front side of that they've added on some foliage, and this is actually looking pretty good, I think, from this side. And there's plenty of room where you can swim around. You can put your animals around in there. They've got the octopus. We'll look at these in just a second, but you know, there's enough room for this big old octopus to get way back in there, so that could actually be hiding in there and surprise you. Speaking of surprises, there are some of the bars of gold here that were being transported by the ship that fell outside of the ship. So those are kind of like low-hanging fruit that you can just grab and just get to those very easily. However, this is a wreckage, and you do have to worry about safety with wreckages because things will be falling apart in unexpected ways. And they've actually set up a very simple little action feature here where if you try to grab the gold real quick, that might happen. The entire superstructure might fall on your buddy. So you have to be careful about that. Here are the first 3 of the 7 minifigures in this set. On the left is the captain of the ship. In the center is myself as just a regular deckhand. Note the dark red knit cap there. And on the right is a salvage specialist with the large diving breathing apparatus, you know, fully sealed up in light bluish gray there. He's also got the collectible minifigure welder torch with the cylinder piece being molded in dark azure. So a rare color to get there, and an interesting way to get it. Looking at these from the back, there we go. Just kind of around so you can see the little bit of printing on the back of the torso. This one a lot more here. And with the apparatus removed, you can see there's a bunch more print that you can see on the orange guy's torso on the back as well as the front. And you can also see more of his facial hair. Here's the rest of the main dive team, and these all have the same torsos and the same hip pieces, which are slightly printed, and also the same legs on all of them. Also the same helmets, the same breathing apparatus and air tanks. Same just about everything except for the accessories and the faces. See, they gave us 2 male and 2 female figures, and you can bring down these visors which have the snorkels built in. That is the newer style over on the far right, the newer style of the walkie-talkie piece, which is just a little bit more detailed. It's a little bit more shiny. It's just nice to see such a classic piece that's been updated, and that actually does have a tile that's attached to the front of it. And then looking at the prints for these torsos from the back, there's not much that you can see before you remove the tank, but there's the fix for that. And none of these have alternate faces on the backs of their heads. Here are the underwater animals that are included with the set, and it looks like LEGO has finally run out of the old style of shark. So you've only got the newer style of shark here with the new printing, and you get 2 in gray there, the dark bluish gray, 1 in white to represent a great white shark, even though they're not entirely white. You've got the one saw-nosed version, which just has the different front part, and that can still open up and expose the teeth inside. And then you get the Kraken. Well, it's just a red octopus. One last thing, dive buoy. When I first saw pictures of this set, I really focused on the hull. The new hull was all that it was about to me, but in reality, this set isn't just about that hull. It's not even just about that ship. It's about all this other stuff. This is a full-on play set. This gives you an entire scenario just by itself. You don't need to buy the entire theme. You don't need to buy anything else in this theme at all. This gives you so many things that you can do, so many vehicles. You got the animals, you've got lots of figures too. This is nothing like I expected it to be. It's way, way better. I think most of the stuff here looks good, and most importantly, it's gonna play very well. So big thumbs up from me. This is a well-designed, nice, fun set. Let me know what you think by sharing a thought or two with a comment in the comment section down below. Thank you for taking the time to watch the video. I hope that I showed you everything you wanted to see here, and I hope that you'll come back for more of my videos, because more are on the way very, very soon. Catch you later.